Watch the whole video to find all the hidden anime girls. What are men only problems most women can't experience? Walking behind a woman and realizing you're going to overtake her. Not wanting to be creepy or scare her. I'm a big burly hillbilly type, so you slow down. Realize now you're keeping pace with her, which probably seems creepy too. Duck, I'll just stop walking for 20 seconds. I have 2 wonderful daughters, twins. When they were little kids, 3 to 5, and now that they are in their early teens, I get the occasional mother randomly striking up a conversation with a kid while we are out in public. This will be when it's just the 2 of us, mom and sister not there. I can sense the path it'll take pretty damn quickly. The conversation always seems to wander to "so how do you know this man you are with?" Ducking pisses me off. Interacting with people who are afraid of you by default. When you're a large masculine looking man who's alone and informally dressed, people watch your behavior closely for anything to confirm their fearful suspicions. Having the cops called on you because some neurotic old lady is worried you're waiting to strangle her and her dog just because you're standing around waiting for a friend really sucks. When your scrot itches and you do the pinch and roll through your pants but accidentally do it too hard, thus resulting in roughly 30 seconds of that agonizing burning pain which feels like your bag is going to rip apart. I call this the chef because it's like when a chef takes a pinch of salt and sprinkles it in a dish, except the salt is your bullskin. You also got the spread and scratch, where you use the thumb and middle finger to spread your bullskin, while you scratch with the index finger, and of course the plant and rake, where you plant your thumb as a base and extend all your other digits in an outward motion to smooth out and scratch the bullskin, similar to a raking motion. Being called gay for turning a girl down for dicks, specifically if it's with your partner. I'm not talking about online creeps that get turned down immediately. I mean if you are dating someone, even if just for a little bit, but you have been on a few dates or been with them for a while. If a woman turns down dicks, we have to accept it, or we get called misogynistic. But if a man turns down dicks, oh well, it must be the end of the world. Oh, you cheated on me with your sister. You don't find me attractive anymore. Are you actually into men? The fact that I talked with my hands a little. This girl I dated on our 3rd date asked if I was gay. I have nothing against gay people and don't see it as insult in my mind, but you know damn well they try and throw it at us as an insult, as if being effeminate were the worst thing a manly man like us could do. Another thing, I can't hug my best friend in a picture without being called gay. Can't do fun stupid poses without being called gay, but women can straight up kiss their female friends and it's just straight girls playing. I have 2 sisters, and one of them was bugging me to take them to the aquarium desperately. Dad's gone since forever, so I said sure. We finally go, and when we are at the mall or some other place outside, I'm 26 and she's 13. Someone always comes up to us and says, "Sweetie, do you know this man? Has he hurt you?" One time my sister got fed up and made a huge scene and said, "How about him hurting him? How about him the one with the gun to his face? What's with you people?" Lol, I didn't know my sister had that in her. One of my high school buddies didn't wear underwear. Never had, ever, in his entire life. Yeah, whatever, Dwayne. Quit talking about it. So we are playing kickball in gym class one day. I'm at first base. Dwayne kicks along one to right center. He passes me at first, looks to the outfield and angles towards second in a way that says he's going for a triple. But something happens just after second base. He hits on the bag, takes 2 more steps, then just sort of implodes, gets smaller, augers into the ground in a manner that makes no sense in physics or physical education. Long story short, he twisted his nut badly enough to need hospitalization. I'll never forget the look on his face, or the high breathless groan that sounded like steam escaping a leaky pipe. Bet your butt we all wore jock straps after that. I've had this happen on a much smaller scale and it was bad. I don't think there's any sort of female equivalent. Doubtless there's stuff just as bad, but nothing quite the same. Shortness. And yes, I know some really short women have some similar frustrations, but it's a completely different thing for men. We live in an age where dating culture is so prominent that women will talk about how they only want to hook up with tall men. I get that it's not a huge deal if you love the person, but being constantly reminded that my height isn't good enough for casual standards, even just as a passing joke, is incredibly detrimental to my self-esteem. Gargantuan pants pockets. The dang things allure you into lugging around all of your worldly possessions. Pretty soon your pants get heavy, you swap out your belt for suspenders, then you start wearing a straw hat, then you start a farm, and it all goes downhill from there. Awkward urinal conversation by that guy who just won't go away. He always seems to pick the stall right next to you, no matter how many are open, and always has stupid poop to say. Inevitably he takes a peek down at PP thinking he's sly, but you notice, and you just stand there, too uncomfortable to even piss, so you're stuck there even longer, PP in hand, with Carl talking away and looking at your package. Eventually you zip up and walk away in defeat without having even pissed and get back to work. You'll try again later, but this time in a stall. Duck you, Carl. I was in Chicago a few years back with my girlfriend. We got lost, so I decided to ask an obvious local female, 25-year or so, for directions. I said, "Excuse me, do you know where?" And she panicked, said no, and jogged right past me in fear. Worst part was, my girlfriend yelled at me for not understanding the plight that all women face. I get that part, and maybe I'm wrong, but this was broad daylight on Lakeshore with hundreds of people around. Just seemed like an overreaction. I swear sometimes my PP goes rogue while I'm urinating. Like you think it's almost done, then there's a bit more and it somehow shoots 90 degrees to your right and hits the cat though you are aiming directly at the bowl. Luckily it's a rare occurrence, but the only thing I can figure is sometimes the sudden pressure change lets you piss through another dimension for a moment and its direction is randomized when it comes back to ours. Prostate cancer. I can't imagine how awful it must be for a man to have to spend more time in a bathroom than a woman who pees, then washes her hands, checks her makeup, reapplies lipstick, checks Facebook and then leaves, whereas the male one room over is still trying to get started. In a house, if dad is in the bathroom, it is quicker to drive to McDonald's and use their toilet than wait him out. I have to be the assertive one when seeking a relationship, but not too assertive, otherwise I get called aggressive and get accused of harassment. I'm a really socially awkward person. Like I'm so socially awkward, I make Scott Finn Pilgrim look like a pimp. Are you trying to flirt with me? I usually can't tell the difference between flirting and just acting friendly, so just tell me what you want to say. Do you want to go out sometime? You might have to ask me, because if the feeling's mutual, my tongue might decide to be a SOD on me when I try to ask you. I'm a girl, but I think this fits the stereotypes of men and how they aren't supposed to have anxiety disorders. Guys are taught to keep it to themselves, so they bottle it up and only gets worse. The support for women with anxiety is overwhelming, but society needs to realize that men, including my boyfriend, have just as strong emotions as women and need to feel comfortable enough to talk about it without people tearing down their masculinity. If you want equality, that doesn't mean you pick and choose the things you want. ABC equals ABC, not ABC equals AB. Makes me mad for the men suffering anxiety disorders out there. An apology from a woman for women that place all the crazy social stereotypes on you. Mansplaining. Something that I can't stand is when I'm making a point to my sister and suddenly I'm branded as mansplaining. It's a bummer that some women are so quick to assume my point is excluding their significance in the argument. If you're arguing with me, neither my gender or your gender make a difference. Sometimes you're just wrong. Your vagina is irrelevant, so stop talking about it. Women are encouraged to be any type of woman they want to be. Highly feminine, tomboy, etc. Men can only be manly. Sure, people say you'll be accepted, but it's never true unless you're openly gay. If any woman says she's going into a traditionally male role, firefighter, pilot, engineer, everyone cheers her along. If a straight man say he's going to be an esthetician, flight attendant or nurse, people still laugh at him or assume he's gay. Explaining how something works to someone and then being labeled as a mansplainer because you have knowledge about a topic. Roommate did this to me. I was configuring the router as she was getting home and it had to restart. She went into her room, noticed internet wasn't on, went out into the kitchen, turned off the router, turned it back on, went back into her room, came out 10 seconds later sighing, repeated the process 4 to 5 times, until she messaged me saying the internet isn't working, and she's restarted the router a bunch of times. Told her the router doesn't immediately spew out internet the second you turn it back on, that it has some startup time to it. I then told her I would probably have to reconfigure it again, since it was turned off so many times and that sometimes happens with the router when it's off for too long. She proceeded to tell me to stop with the mansplain, that she just needed the internet in order to submit her essay. Comment what the best or worst story was. Also remember to subscribe for more Reddit and anime girls.